When you're going on vacation, you do lots of planning before you leave. And when you're creating a database, you do lots of planning before creating a table. We have to distinguish between a table, a database, and a table. If you think about a family, every member of the family is an individual, but they're all related. A database is like a family, a collection of related information. Each one member of the family, we'll say, would be a table. It is one part of the whole. In my elementary school, we learned that table is a noun, person, place, or thing. An example might be a database of a college, and the tables would be teachers, students, classes, books, etc. You'll be more likely to use a table than to create one. You'll use the database, that's why we spent so many videos on it, but you probably won't create one of your own unless you're in a certain job, and then it takes lots of practice. But let's look and see how to design a table. First of all, every individual record in the table must start with a primary key. If you think about students, every student has their own student ID number. Every baby gets a social security number before it leaves the hospital. And every record in the table needs a primary key, so that will be one of the fields. All of the other characteristics of that noun that will be your table are the fields of the table. In a student table, you might have student ID, first name, last name, so on. See here in our client database, client table, we had client number. That's the primary key. Do you see that little key there? Client name, street, city, state, blah, blah, amount paid, so on, so on, so. Notice that different fields have different data types. Some are text, most are text, but we have a couple of currencies there, and we have a date, time. There are some more. In addition to those characteristics of the field, you can also have more characteristics. They're listed at the bottom of that screen in the design view for a table. And an example would be the field width. This is set for 255. We'd sure want to change that. We don't need 255 spaces for a student ID number. And there are a list of them there. After you design the table, then you'll fill it in. We'll change from the design view to the data sheet view to fill in the table. Notice that it looks like an Excel spreadsheet, doesn't it? Well, you could also use a form. That would be nice and neat to use. Well, let's see. In this data sheet view, each column is a field that represents one characteristic about that noun. These are clients. And each row represents one of them, one client in this case, and that's called a record. These terms are all in bold because they're really important terms. That's why you need to know those terms if you're going to work with a database. And notice that each one of those records starts with its own unique primary key. So with this basic information to get us started, we'll be able to actually create our own little database table in another video.